For the past 4 years, I've been traveling the world, and on my journey across these continents, I've met countless fascinating individuals who all have different perspectives on life.
I knew from the moment I met those women that I had to tell their stories.
From Olympic athletes who performed at the highest level to artists who create unbelievable work and refugees who have overcome the most difficult of challenges. Each and every single one of them has their own formula for life, and I'm here to find out what that is.
What they wanted, whether they knew it or not, is they wanted to be inspired.
My name is Trevor Carlson, and this is the Formula Podcast.
Welcome to this episode of the Formula Podcast. Today I have with me a YouTuber and just overall inspirational guy, Will Rossy.
How old are you?
101.
I'm 101.
103.
100 and almost 3.
104.
105.
What is one thing that when you were younger, you put a lot of importance on, but as we get older, you realize wasn't that important? What is a big mistake that you've made or a big regret you have that you have learned a valuable lesson from?
Will is the host of Sprought, or the creator behind Sprought, with over 3 million followers across every social media platform. Will, thanks for coming on today. Can you tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind Sprought?
Sure. First of all, always great to see you, Trevor. Happy to be back talking to you. Can I tell you about the inspiration behind Sprought? Absolutely. So I used to work as a financial analyst in some of the bigger banks in Canada. I had never wanted to work in a bank. It was actually never my goal, but I was pressured into going into that career path when I was in university. So I went to McGill in Montreal, in Canada, studied finance. I thought that studying finance meant that you would learn everything about the business world. And by the time you left university, you would be well equipped to start your own business. So I didn't even read the description of what finance was as a major. I was like, finance sounds like personal finance. Let me do this because I want to be an entrepreneur. This will be the best path. It's actually just a fast track to go into investment banking or consulting or some high paying 6-figure, quote unquote, prestigious, respectable job in society. And because I didn't really have a clear vision of who I was and also what I wanted in life. So when that happens, other people can decide your dreams for you, and they can convince you that what's socially acceptable is right for you. We can get into that, but even though that's not true. And so I went down that path. I worked at a big bank for about a year. Finally, I got a full-time offer after doing multiple different internships worth over 6 figures. I have to make the decision of, do I want to be trading my happiness, trading my self-respect for comfort and security and acceptance at such a young age? You know, when you make a decision at that age, I feel like it has ripple effects later on. I can't say, but I would assume so. Or I say no to the job. I probably burn a lot of bridges. Unlikely that I'm going to be friends with most of the people that I'm friends with now. But I managed to just go all in on myself, and I accept the fact that I care more about my own happiness than acceptance.
Can you
And so I quit the job.
Oh, sorry. Can you tell me about the day you quit? Like, what led up to it? And what was that like?
Oh, absolutely. It was not as crazy as the question seems. Like, I know most people have that, my God, I was so nervous and I wasn't sure. I was pretty dead set on quitting that job. I'd learned over the course of that internship a lot about who I was, a lot about what I wanted in life. I had started journaling, basically. And so I was able to understand that this path I was going down was not for me. This path was not going to lead me to my ideal version of happiness, my ideal lifestyle. So when it came time to get that return offer, sit down, like review it, look at the contract, even though it looked good and the money sounded good, I knew that if I said yes, I would not be going down the path I wanted to go down. So I called my boss and I told him that I'm not interested. And I appreciate it, and I'm happy I worked there, and et cetera, et cetera. But I'm not interested. It wasn't as hard as it looks.
Yeah. How do you start a YouTube channel at that point?
No, no, I had not.
Damn. So you just were like, I'm not doing this, but I don't know what I'm gonna do, but something else.
Exactly. That was exactly what I was thinking. And then when I quit that job, I came back to my final year of university, and everybody who was working in the same field as me, who hated the job just as much as I did, they all said yes to their return offers. I'm the only one who said no. And so I was sitting down for a long time trying to figure out what to do with my life when I graduate. And I wanted to start a business. I believe the best business to start is a business that solves a problem. I believe the best problem to solve is one that personally impacts you. And what was really impacting me is the question, why do some people get to do what they love and stay the course when other people, other great people with potential, with the ability to choose how they make their money? I'm not talking about the people who don't have choice. I'm talking the people who have the choice of how they want to make their money, choose to work in jobs and live lives they're not happy with. So that was my thing. I saw all my friends growing up, great people, big hearts, very, very nice people. Everyone would be friends with them, kind of withering away in their careers that they didn't even want to work in because of societal pressures. And so that's how I started Sprought. The answer to that question is the brand Sprought, and it's the mission behind Sprought. No, I had no YouTube channel. I had never made a video in my life. I was very introverted. I was private on social media. It came as a huge surprise to everybody that knew me personally that I was going to start a social media brand. But I thought that that's the way to do it in this day and age. If you can build an audience while everybody else is chasing money, if I can build an audience of people and I can inspire them, then I can do what I want and I can spread my message. I can spread my message rather than be cooped up in a box on a trading floor of a bank.
Yeah. So I have two questions because I feel like some people who they've never earned six figures or they've never had the opportunity to start their own YouTube channel. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that. Anybody can start their own YouTube channel, but let's say they haven't they've never started. They probably are hearing you say like you're 22, 23 when this happened.
21.
21.
21, 22.
Somebody's like, here's six-figure job. Do you want it? And you say, no, thank you. So what did it, like, same as a big shock to everyone around you? Were they supportive or were they just like, Will, like, do you need to go to rehab? Will, like, what going on? Like, why did you do this? What happened?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I thought if I quit the job, I would burn a lot of bridges, and that's what ended up being the case. I would say that there were a handful of people who were supportive, and really a handful, like you could probably count them on one hand. Everybody else was not supportive, definitely talking behind my back. When you go and sway away from what's acceptable, you got two types of people. You get people who are just judgmental and angry, and they project that to you. Or you get the opposite, which is you get people who want to do what you're doing, but don't have the guts to do it. And then they project their frustration onto you as well. Um, I got a lot of that. I can't say that I was really supported that much. It took a lot of time for people to come around, as I think it does when anybody reaches a level of success. But I was made fun of quite a bit and kind of lost a lot of friendships, I think, just from making that decision.
How did you keep going? Like, what kept you going?
Well, I would say when it came to that specific part, you don't have to be friends with everybody. Not everybody is going to align with you. If someone is willing to drop you or look at you a different way because you're doing what you're passionate about, then you probably shouldn't be friends with that person in the first place. You probably shouldn't have that person be around you. So I would say that's one thing. In terms of not giving up, not quitting, I've always made it a point for Sprout to be a bigger mission than my own ambitions. So I didn't start this for my own personal gain. Of course, it's part of it. I'm gaining personally from starting a business, but the goal was always, how do we inspire people? How do we make sure that there are less people doing things that they don't like? And so if I give up, if I let people talk about me in a negative way, if I let that judgment get to me and I give up and I become one of them, then what about the thousands and thousands, potentially millions of people that might one day be inspired by what I do? What about that? They'll have nobody to inspire them, nobody to speak to them. So I was always thinking about those guys. I don't want to give up for them. Forget me. I'm just whatever, you know. I'm just that it's you're fighting your ego, but I don't want to give up for them.
So you had one other thing that you said. You said you wanted, when you start Sprout, you want to know, why do some people stay the course who are, and why do some people who are not, who don't, like, that are talented, smart, all those things, they have a choice between these multiple paths and they choose the one that's safer and maybe it's more comfortable, but they're not very happy. So did you find the answer to that question?
Yeah, I think there's so many different reasons. And you had alluded earlier of, not many people at the age I was at get offered a six-figure job. Not many people get offered a six-figure job in general. So yeah, I'm definitely coming from a position of privilege in that regard. I always thought to myself, if I start this and I fail, in theory, I have a finance degree from the best university in Canada, one of the best universities in the world. I've got the work experience on my CV that says I've worked at a big bank. In theory, if all else failed and I really gave up, what would I do? I'd go back to a banking job and I'd make more than I was making doing my own thing. So in my regard, I'm coming from a position of privilege that I have that degree and I have that experience. I think everybody has privileges though, which is what most people don't understand. Just being born in a certain country, having certain parents, having a certain upbringing, like everything that you can find a lot of different privileges in your life that I might not have, that you might not have, that most people might not have. I think most people don't act on those privileges. We don't understand that. We just default to the negative. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? I can't. I'm not able to. Always thinking about the negative. When in reality, if you kind of decided to flip that way of thinking and found all the positives, all the opportunities, I believe for most people, the world would be quite open to them. But most people don't want to talk about life that way. They don't want to talk about themselves that way. So I think the way that you treat your own relationship, your relationship with yourself, is the most impactful in terms of why some people do it and why some people don't. Like you would notice you yourself are doing what you love. I'm doing what I love, but we are probably quite confident in ourselves, or we have self-belief. Most people are not defaulting to that. They believe they can't do it. I believe those people who end up going down the path that they love are people who believe they can do it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's almost like people who, because I grew up in a very small town in rural America, and I always felt like the general opinion of people who were business owners, authors, actors, athletes, there was something inherently different or special about them. So, and I'm just not like that, right? Like, that's just, they just have something special and I'm just normal. And I think that that's like it's kind of a sad way to look at things, because once you've probably realized this with many of the people you interview that are very successful, is they all have problems. They're all pretty normal in some way. And it's like this limiting mindset a little bit, where you just, like, you almost don't know what you don't know at the same time. You don't have exposure to that. Plus, it's like the belief, like the default that you can't, or that you're not that.
It doesn't make any sense though. That's the worst part. Like if you actually think about it, that's the worst part. Actually, I would comment on what I just said. Most people don't actually think about it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I think you actually thought about it and you realized it made no sense to think that way. Like every single guy or woman, man or woman who's achieved success, they started at a certain point. They started not knowing anything. Nobody was born from the straight out of the womb as a marketing expert,
Right.
as a hockey player, like as a movie star. They were not born that way. They worked for it. They set goals. They worked towards their goals. They achieved them. They believed in themselves. They were confident. And then I know that once success comes, that gives you momentum and it brings you higher and higher and higher. So they've just reached a point of success through a lot of work and a lot of time. In fact, I interviewed a billionaire last month. I interviewed the billionaire who owns the World Trade Center in New York City.
Wow.
I don't know if you knew that, but someone owns the World Trade Center. It's not a government property.
I did not know that.
There you go. There's a fact for you and for everyone. So I asked him, he's 93 right now. And I said, listen, you're 93, you're a billionaire, you've been married to your wife for like 70 plus years. You did it. You lived a fantastic life by all means. If I'm sitting here, I'm 25. I would like to be as successful as you at your age. What are your secrets? Please give me your secrets. I want to know all of your secrets. He looks at me like this. He's like, if you want a secret, you're screwed. There are no secrets. He told me that it took him 60 years of working on his business to get to where he is. Brick by brick, step by step, not taking a failure as an absolute, and just taking things slow and not trying to rush it. And we don't live in that world anymore. Everyone wants success very quickly. They want to make a lot of money. They want to be famous. They want to get all the attention. They don't understand that it takes time to work for something and build something. And that's not a business specifically. That's also you as a person, you as any movie star, any athlete, anything, or any successful person. Took them a long time to get there. So I believe there's a lack of understanding of that.
Yeah.
Like good things take time, and everybody who achieved something that was great initially was horrible.
Mhm.
And that's how life works.
Yeah. I don't know where I read this or heard it. It was a long time ago. I heard that you have to like earn the right to be good by sucking. You have to be like really comfortable with just like being bad. Because if you're not comfortable with being bad, then you will never have the chance to be great.
100%. I mean, there's so many, we can go like in a million of these types of quotes, but if you want, like, if you want to post 100 videos, you got to post 99 before that. And it's unlikely any of those are going to be good. If it takes 100 videos to be good, well, that means you got to post 99 that suck. So like to your point, you have to be willing to post 99 videos that suck. You have to be willing to deal with that yourself. I think a lot of us are not willing to deal with looking bad, feeling bad. I know that was definitely a struggle for me at one point, but eventually that's the price you pay to eventually be great. You can't always look good. Like life's not always about looking good. Even now you could say, his life looks great and everything. There are still things we do all the time that I think I look bad for doing. But that's the process of finding your way. You have to have a little bit of bad in order to find the good.
Hmm. Yeah. And how many videos do you think you posted before you feel like things took off for you?
I don't know the number of videos. I posted every week on YouTube for 2.5 years. I didn't miss a week for 2.5 years. No video blew up. Had no measurable amount of success, no virality. Like maybe you could say I had a video with 25,000 views, and that was my top video in 2.5 years. And things started to take off when I started to interview people, actually. So I was not interviewing people as a form of content for quite a while. I was trying to figure out how to make videos and how to spread my message. After 2.5 years of making videos that didn't blow up, I finally burnt out and realized that if I keep traveling around the world to film insane videos that take an absurd amount of effort and that cost a lot, when I'm not making much money, and two, I'm doing the whole thing by myself, it's obviously not sustainable. So I really sat down with myself and asked myself, what is something that I'm very passionate about that I can kind of simplify, something I could do repeatedly over and over again without feeling burnt out, that I think would impact the world just as much as what I'm doing now. And I had met a friend in New York who was interviewing people. If you've ever seen the music, like a music street interview where he says, "What are you listening to?" like that in New York. And I was like, okay, this guy's getting a lot of views. Can't say it's the most impactful type of video, but his style is quite interesting. It's quite low key, laid back. What if I applied that to what I want to do? You can ask people all over the world questions I've been researching myself for years, and I can see how people react to that. So the first time I ever went out to interview someone, the first person I ever interviewed is the first person that I edited. So it wasn't like I took the batch, found the best one, posted it. I just posted the first ever interview I did. And that was the first ever video that went viral. That video had 1 million views within 2 days. Well, I think it had well over 30 million views on all platforms at one point. And that taught me a very important lesson, which was stop trying to overcomplicate things. When you try to be too perfect, you end up missing a lot of the juice. And the second I actually, I don't want to say dumbed it down, because I think interviewing is quite a difficult endeavor. But the second I simplified my process and I stopped caring about the views, I just said, I'm going to do what I think the world would enjoy and what I would enjoy. Sort of like a ikigai concept, if you know what an ikigai is.
Yes.
A Japanese way of life. And that was when things started to go well.
Yeah. What was it about that video that, like, I know we've talked about this and you've suggested partnering up with other influencers and stuff like that. Was this person a famous person, or was it just a random person on the street?
A 67-year-old man that I don't know if he was visiting. Maybe he lived in Montreal. Maybe he didn't. He was American and he was just walking on the street. I literally went up to anybody. Like I wasn't looking for anyone specifically.
Mhm.
And I just said, how old are you? What does it feel like to be your age? And his response was, like he takes a big pause and you wake up in the morning and like you feel whatever. Then you look in the mirror and he like, John, he's like, you look in the mirror, you're like, holy shit, I'm old. Like that.
Yeah.
That was it. That was the whole interview. It was like a minute and a half. I put what I thought was good. I cut it down to like 30 seconds and that was it. It went totally viral. I think it went viral, and I think videos in general go viral because of relatability. It was incredibly relatable for a lot of people. The process of aging, and yeah, I don't know. Would you say it's luck? I'm not sure. I don't know how that stuff works, but
Yeah.
it is crazy.
Well, I think don't they say that luck is when like, is it like practice meets opportunity or something like that? I think I'm
Maybe add a little desperation in there sometimes too.
Yeah. Okay. So at this point, so that was your first street interview. How many interviews have we done now?
Definitely over 1,000. After 1,000, I stopped counting, but definitely over 1,000 people in the last 2 years around the world.
If you had come up with one thing that you've learned from all these interviews, the thing that like when you're taking a walk or sitting by yourself and you're thinking about, like the one thing that you've learned that kind of resonates or hits home the most, like I guess maybe the question is, what is like the deepest lesson you feel like you've learned from all these interviews?
It's a good question. I think that one that comes to mind very quickly, because I have gotten this question before and I feel at this point I'm sort of prepared, but I'm hoping that when I say this, another lesson will come up as well. I ask a question that is basically, What is one thing that when you were younger, you put a lot of importance on, and as you've gotten older, you realize wasn't actually that important? So what's something that you worried about too much? And I've asked that question to more or less everybody that I've interviewed. Let's say 85% of them. And I would say that of all the people who've answered that question, also 85% of the responses, it's the same. It's, I wish I didn't care so much about what others thought of me. So I guess I went through that a little bit at one point in life. I think we all do. But I started asking follow-up questions of, when did you realize that what other people think of you wasn't worth it? At what age was that? For them, it was around 40, 50. I said, okay, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self and remove it, you could remove caring about what other people think about you, what would life have looked like for you? You think it would have been better? They're like, my Lord, like maybe I would have done this, I would have done that, I would have tried this, I would have been happier, I would have been freer. And so, I'm just standing there. I'm listening to all of this too, right? This is, yes, content, yes, my business, but also my interest. So I'm listening to all these answers going, okay, if I stop thinking about this thing entirely and don't let it bother me, what will my life look like when I'm 40, 50, I think it'll be much different. So that's how I kind of live my life. Anytime the opportunity to be impacted by that comes up, I try to push it away. And I feel that I feel much more secure in life because of that.
What's one thing that you feel like you still need to let go of to hit like the next level in your business and your life? Because I'm asking that because it's, you said like, I think I live this way now, but I'm wondering if there's something where like you like deepest desire, and then maybe there's something that's where you're like, man, I need to do this or that first or whatever.
I wouldn't say that, but my answer when you said the question originally was control. Control was the answer. When you spend so much time alone building something, you get super attached to that, right? Like you do all the jobs. So you're normally trust yourself on everything, right? Okay, we need to get this done. Oh yeah, I'm used to it. I'll get it done. We need to do this. I'm used to it. I'll get it. I'll put the extra hour in. I'll put the extra 2 hours. It's all good. I'll control this. I'll take control of that. Don't worry. But what gets you to one place does not necessarily take you to the next. And that's a hard truth that I'm trying to grapple with, of saying, if I want to grow, there are certain things I need to do, meaning I might not be the best for these things. Like I might need to replace myself, and I might need to allow other people to take the control. So that's like, it's a big thing, when you put a lot of effort into something and then you realize that, hey, maybe I'm not the best person at this. I might have put the most work in, the most time in, but that doesn't mean I'm the one with the most skill, that I'm going to be the best one. And so trying to push away from that and find somebody that you trust enough, that you believe in enough to get the job done. Those are two things, but they're quite hard.
Yeah.
For me.
What have you found to be the most effective way to do that for yourself? Even if it's maybe don't practice what I preach all the time, but I mean, what have you found? Cause I'm asking for myself because we were talking about this before, cause like, it just sometimes it drives me nuts. Cause like if I edit my own video, I know like the videos I've edited, you're like, oh, I only got 25K. I'm like, man, I'm really happy when mine gets 25.
No, but come on. You know how long that took? That's the same thing as what we spoke about before. I was making videos, running marathons with no training, traveling to 6 countries in 6 days, getting 600 views.
Yeah.
It's not like I was making videos that didn't get views for years.
Yeah.
I want to put that in perspective for you.
No, I get it. I'm just giving you a hard time because you're like, oh man. I'm like, man, that's. Oh, so I'm asking because like I have a ton of content from traveling for years and years that I've started organizing into videos, and some of them I've held off on because they're like super great experience is very precious to me. And I'm like, man, if I get this video the way I want it done, I know it'll do decently well, like tens of thousands of views versus hundreds of views. But then, like, I know if I edit it myself, it'll do that. But if I give it to someone else, I just feel like it'll miss that like magic that you only get from being there. And I think that also applies to working with people when you're like, oh, I'm the best at running ads, and I've brought on an ads person. Oh, they made a mistake. Let me go fix their mistakes because I know I'm a little bit better. So it's like, so what have you found to be most effective when you're in the driver's seat and you kind of have to let go?
It's all about the person. I think whenever I hire somebody or I work with somebody, I'm rarely thinking about their skills, which I think is at this point a mistake, but that's another story for another time, let's say. And I'm more thinking about them as a person. Is this person capable of becoming the version of themselves, of achieving the task, of learning the systems that they need to learn? If so, let's put some faith in them. A big thing I've done is try to do 3-month experiments. I believe it's not good enough to give somebody just a month, and it's too long to go past 3 months before understanding if someone is actually good at what they can do. You can trust them if they can create the results that you want for them. So I try to do that. And if I'm not afraid to bring somebody on for 3 months, and that's how I operate. And after 3 months, I make the assessment. Is this going to be beneficial in the long run, or was this not the best result? So I would say there's that, but also just understanding that people are actually quite good, and we were terrible at the beginning. So that's one big thing when it comes to video editing, just for your example. I mean, I had all this like egotistical mindset of I'm the best editor for my own content and nobody will know how to edit it like me. Yeah, but then you think about it, you're like, well, I taught myself how to edit from scratch like a year or 2 years back. I was horrible. Only now am I getting views or making videos I think are good. So obviously there's other people who are good at editing. If I became good at editing, obviously there's other people who are good. Yeah. So I try to think about it like that.
No, that actually, it's almost like so in a way, it sounds like, and maybe projecting my own experience onto you a bit, but it's like insecurity almost. Because if you're just like, or maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but it's like this. If it's not good, that's like you kind of have that's if it's your thing, it's like your standard, right? And if it's below that standard and somebody brings that out, then or brings that up, whether it's with the video or at work or a system or whatever, I think for me, then I'm just like, no, we can do better. So then I want to like put my hands back on the wheel right away. Be like, okay, like bring the car back on the road. Like let's like clean this up.
But that's when it becomes important to understand that as a manager,
Yeah.
you can empower somebody, you can teach somebody to be better. And the editors that I work with now who are on my team are phenomenal. But I would say the beginning, there were definitely a lot of moments of teaching, right? Where you're like, you don't understand. But if you're willing to work with somebody that you think is one, good, and two, willing to learn, eventually they get better. And I would say they're much better than me at this point. I think I work with them. We have a great synergy. I see things they don't see. They see things I don't see. And I think the product is way better than if it were just me, especially because at this point, I don't like editing. So if I were to edit, I would just do it out of frustration and out of necessity, and I wouldn't actually care about it. So if you don't really care about something, you shouldn't be doing that. Even if you think you're better than everybody at it, if you don't care about it, you should find people who do care about it, and you should give them the tools to succeed.
How do you know if you actually don't care about something? Because I think if you asked a lot of people in finance who are making 6 figures a year in their 20s, and they're probably gonna be like, yeah, I love my job. I'm passionate about it. But if you ask maybe 20 years later, they're not going to give you the same answer.
I find I ask the question a lot about careers just because I think it's at this point with my story, most people that speak to me, they just automatically go towards that conversation of talking about their career. I would say I ask this question a lot. Say, what do you do for a living? They say what they do. Do you like it? Yeah, I like it. Do you love it? And then a lot of them hesitate. And the single moment of hesitation for me tells me that you don't love it. Like if you ask me what I do, I love it. Has its ups, has its downs. I love it though. That's what it is, that's life. But if I say, do you like it? I say, yeah. Do you love it? So if you actually asked yourself that, or you had somebody ask you, do you like this? Yeah, I'm good. Do you love it? Could you do it 1,000 times? Could you do it all day? Could you spend 9 hours a day doing this for the rest of your life? Could you spend 6 months straight only focusing on this task? Only focusing on this, only working here? And the second there's some hesitation there, I don't think you like it as much as you think. I don't know how many people are lying to themselves about the finance jobs. Maybe they don't lie to me because they know it's me. Maybe they lie in general, but I find people are quite honest, and I don't see that many people who are like, I love it, and they hate it. I think they're usually like, yeah, actually, I don't like it too much.
Maybe it's easier to lie to their friends and themselves than it is when they're on camera.
That's true. That's a good point.
I don't know. I'm just thinking because I've had friends like ask other people I know this question, like, oh yeah, do you love what you do? And I've heard people who are, graphic designers making like 40K a year being like, yeah, I just absolutely love it. And I can tell they're just so full of shit. They're like, man, if you had your dream, you would not be doing this at all. But it's almost like they're trying to drink their own Kool-Aid a little bit.
That's another possibility that you're so far deep into it, you just don't want to admit you made the wrong choice. That's also, this is all the ego acting out just in different forms. The ego takes many forms.
So this maybe ties into one of the other topics I want to talk to you about. Let's say you're one of those people and there's a delay when you say, do you love this? You're in that person's shoes. What do you do?
About life?
Yeah, like let's say I ask you, Will, do you love what you do? And you're like, eh. So now what do you do?
If you asked me this a few years ago, I'd be like, well, you just got to quit your job and jump in the deep end and this and that. Honestly, interviewing people, especially people on the street, regular people who have no business promoting themselves or lying, I've learned to be a little bit more realistic with advice and guidance. I think it's hard to quit a job if you have no alternative, if you have no savings, if you have no backup. If you've got backup, if you've got financial backup, let's say, if you've got the opportunity, like you have privilege, you have a good CV, you have good experience, you have a good fallback, I think it's much easier to take a big risk than it is if you don't. But I would say if I throw that out the window and I focus on the very first thing you have to do, if you don't love your job, you need to find out what you do love. And you don't need to quit your job to figure out what you love. You need to do a lot of self-reflection, introspection, journaling. You need to ask yourself questions. You need to know 100% what makes you happy. And then you need to ask yourself, is the path that I'm on, is this trajectory going to take me to that end goal? And if it's not, usually that's enough for people to make a decision because the clarity is there. But a lot of us are lacking clarity. We don't actually understand where it is we'd rather be. So where we are now is not bad. And not bad is the worst place to be of all time. This is not bad enough to jump ship, and it's not bad enough to try to improve, if you know what I'm saying. So when I quit my job, it sucked. I hated it. So I quit. It was easy. That was my decision. I hated it. But I have friends and their life is not bad. Job's good, pays well, it's decent, life's not bad. Okay, so what would you like to do? What is your ideal lifestyle? I don't know. I never thought about it. I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what they want to do, but they're not thinking about it. They're not prioritizing it. So my step one is, if you don't love your job, I would love to know what career you would actually love.
Do you find clarity for yourself through journaling, through walking, through meditation? Like, how do you find that for yourself?
They're all pretty good. Everything you just said is pretty good. I would definitely say journaling has been the number one. And I would just broaden that and say any form of self-reflection, any form of introspection. I used to look up online like 75 journal prompts for self-improvement. And then every day I would answer one or I'd answer two. And those questions would help me think about my life, and they'd help me uncover answers that I was pushing away. So that's a big one. Goal setting in a journal format, just doing general activities, writing about yourself, writing about your days, tracking your days, how you feel over time, analyzing how you feel. That's been big. I love walking. But in order to have a successful walk in terms of that, what you're saying, reflection, you you need to be in the right environment. You need to be in nature, not too busy, somewhere to think. You need to be willing to listen to music that is more introspective. I like piano music I like spa music. Love spa music. One of my most listened to playlists on Spotify. And meditation is always good, but I don't think I've received the same clarity in meditating or figuring my life out than I have with the others. But it has definitely helped me concentrate. It has definitely helped me focus and be better at actually thinking about things. I'd say a mix of all three is the healthiest thing.
Yeah. There was a quote I heard about meditation where it's when you're meditating, it's like when you're not meditating, you're in the storm. But when you meditate often, you like are sitting in a house watching the storm. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I mean, there's a book called Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss, a book that I really like, and hopefully one day can emulate it in a way. He basically has interviewed all of these very successful people, and he's taken all of their conclusions about what they've told him on the podcast and put it together into a book. And in the book, one of the big habits that people have in common is that they meditate. A lot of people practice a form of meditation, and they don't talk about it in terms of spirituality at all. It's more that meditation helps them understand their thoughts. So when there's a lot that is coming at you, usually your brain would kind of implode and you would just not be able to handle all of this information, all of the stress, all of the thoughts. But what meditation does is it helps you calm down and develop a singular focus, but just thinking about one thing at a time. So yeah, I would say as the storm is going on, you're sitting there very calm, thinking about it. Oh, here's the storm. Here's what's going on. This is interesting. I'm going to process this in a very slow and contained manner. I think that's what it is. Whereas most people would see a storm coming and run in circles and desperately try to look for cover. If you meditate, you can really just think about it. What do I have to do?
Do you find in journaling that prompts are the most effective for you? Or is there another way that you find clarity through journaling?
I would say prompts are huge, but more activities, like any exercise that you can do. I guess you could consider that a prompt. I do believe guided journaling is the best type of journaling. Open-ended writing is great as a brain dump, but I don't believe it's the whole solution. If you're trying to come to an answer, if you're trying to uncover things, you need to be prompted. You need to be guided. You need to have a question that you can answer or something that makes you think. And what's on my mind today is way too open-ended if you're actually trying to transform, if you're trying to figure out what to do with your life from journaling. So asking yourself questions like certain prompts, what's my biggest fear? Um, what's a big goal I haven't achieved yet? What are 3 things that I would like to achieve? Things like that. You actually start thinking about it when you're sitting down with yourself and you're alone and you're listening to some introspective music and you've got no notifications. You have time to think about life, to think about what those thoughts that might be in the back of your mind are. you haven't been risen to the surface in a while. And I don't think you can do that on your own with what's on my mind today. I think you need to have a lot of prompting and guiding.
So what's next for you? Like, what's your next big goal? You've accumulated millions of followers, tens or hundreds of millions of views, maybe billions. I don't know, a lot. And you've done a lot. You start. We haven't really talked about it, but you've started a community to kind of teach other people some of the lessons you've learned at Sprought Academy or Sprought U.
Sprought Academy.
Sprought Academy. Okay. And then you've also been working on a couple different journals. So what's your next big goal?
Ooh, the next big one is an interesting one, but I would definitely say the community is a big one. Being able to bring together more people inside a community where you can meet other people who are on the same wavelength as you. In this world, it's very hard to meet genuine people who are dreaming the same dreams as you, who want to support you to do what you want to do. If we can build a community like that, where you can enter this and you have people to speak to every week, you have people to get along with, people that you align with and that you can be friends with, that would be really powerful. My big vision for that is the same as a meditation center. If you've ever followed a big meditation guru, well, they have a big retreat centers and somewhere in the world, right? And you can come to their center. You can take courses, you can take programs, you can meet other people who are trying to figure out the same parts of life as you. And it's kind of like a reset for people. You go to this meditation center for 10 days and you reset. Well, I would love that Sprought one day has its own center somewhere in the world. If you're trying to figure your life out, if you're at a crossroads in life and you're not sure what to do, and you need the knowledge, you need the tools, you want to meet people who can give you advice, you can have conversations with, come here, come to this center, have a conversation, take a program, think about life, expand your horizons. For me, that's the ideal. Now, obviously, we have a community right now that's extremely small. So to go from that to go to the retreat center is a huge endeavor. But like I said about the billionaire, for me, this is a business that outlasts my existence, and I'm willing to work on it for decades if that's what it takes to get to the goal. So is that a next big goal? I don't know. Maybe there's things that come in the middle of those, but I'd say probably growing my community a little bit more would be a good goal for me.
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. So are you gonna have is it gonna be in Montreal, you think?
No, definitely not.
Okay. Where would it be? You could pick one. Where would it be? You've been all over the world.
That's an impossible question. It's got to be somewhere where the weather is pleasant all year. I don't want to deal with the same things I dealt with growing up. I would say snow, no, and yeah, just snow is a big one. It's cold, snowing. I don't like that. In some places, what you do in the summer, you can't do in the winter, and vice versa. I like the idea of being able to do what I want to do all the time. And if I want to go do something else, I can travel, I can go visit. But I have no idea, to be honest with you. Costa Rica is like one type of place, just as like an idea, but I've never been to Costa Rica. I don't think I would want to live in Costa Rica when I'm older. So I honestly have no idea. Maybe I'll visit you in Thailand. Who knows?
Sounds good. Who knows if I'll be in Thailand, man? I could be anywhere.
You could be anywhere. That's true. That is a good point.
I have 1,000 interviews to make too, so I don't think I want to interview 1,000 Thai people. I mean, Thai people are great, but I want to go to other places.
The world is big.
We could do like a whole episode on travel, because I would love to know more about like what have been the most impactful trips and stuff like that. Cause I don't know. I feel like it's a topic that I feel like we could both talk about for a very long time.
I've been to 35 countries so far, so
Damn. How old are you?
yeah, a lot of stories. I'm 25.
Now keep thinking you're older, man.
It's the beard. That's what everyone says, the beard.
No, I think it's how you carry yourself. I don't think it's your looks. I think it's actually yeah, it's just your vibe in general. So I think you have, I mean, I'm 36. I'm not really, I don't think I'm old by any means, but I definitely can tell a difference between talking with you and somebody else your age maybe hasn't seen as much or experienced as much. So I think it's definitely how you carry yourself.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been told I'm an old soul. When I was working at a bank, I was 17 years old, and I was giving the 40 and 50-year-old, my 40, 50-year-old coworkers life advice. I would just listen to their stories and give them advice, and they're like, "How old are you? Like, what is up with this guy? Like, this is good advice." This guy's 17. I think I've had some sort of a old soul bod to myself for quite a while.
Yeah. That's, yeah. That's, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe. It's just some people have that way about them where no matter how old they are, they just seem to move through life a little more. Like, it feels like you're a lot more seasoned. Like you're like you've just seen a lot, experienced a lot, and you stay very calm.
Yeah, I mean, my family history as well. We've had a lot of deaths in my family when I was growing up, so life life became a little more real for me at a younger age. And not that I was like carrying that. Maybe I wasn't thinking about it, but maybe I was carrying it. Um, that kind of makes life a little bit more real. You treat things a little bit more maturely.
Yeah.
Than you have to, and as a result, I guess I never stopped doing that.
Yeah. Do you think that those experiences led for you to kind of take some of the jumps that you did early on in life?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I would say that like both my grandparents on my dad's side, they passed away. And my grandfather, especially, I don't know, was 8 years old, so quite young. And the way that people that I meet as life goes on, like if I ever meet someone who knew my grandfather, the way they speak about him, the way they speak about my grandmother, the way they speak about my parents, it's it's really interesting. They have extremely high praise for them. And the character of this man was great. That he was such a generous person. He helped my family. He did this, he did that. And so that plays a big role when I got offered that banking job. The question was, if I say yes to this, people one day, if I died at some point, people are going to talk about me the way they spoke about my grandfather, my grandmother, my parents. If I'm one of those people facing the wall in a corporate job that he hates, not living up to his potential, are people going to be able to speak to me, to speak about me like that, the way they spoke about them? And that was always a driving factor for me. I want to impact the world in the same way that they do, they have.
Yeah. That was a very real answer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you, do you feel like you're doing that now?
I think so. Yeah. I think a lot of people have a hard time recognizing that, like you talk to some successful people and they're like, I don't feel like I'm impacting the world. I mean, these are virtual, so it's quite difficult to feel it every now and then when everything you see is just it's a story reply, it's a comment. But I definitely feel like I am. I can see a lot of differences in the people around me. I can see a lot of differences in people I speak to. People are listening to me a little bit more, and I start seeing improvements like in people's lives when they listen. Especially now that we have journals and people in our community, I mean, that's huge. I'm able to actually understand, like, whoa, you have this product, you use this product, you benefit from it. You were in this community, you tried this, you made this decision, you benefited from it. I'm able to get to know my audience on a more personal level.
No.
And that indicates to me that, hey, they are being impacted. Before you post a video, it gets views, you have saves, you have shares, you have comments. Oh yeah, it sounds good, right? Sounds like I'm making an impact. But I can feel the legitimacy of it when people that I've admired for a long time reach out to me and say, I love what you're doing. When people in my audience buy a product, join the community and say, this really helped. I definitely think I am. I think if I wasn't, someone would have told me by now. Someone must have, like, there's gotta be. My mom probably would have been like, here, what are you doing? Feel like,
Mom probably have a way of knowing.
oh yeah, from the start. They always know. Yeah. My mom was good too at the start. She's like, you're gonna have a Netflix show, you're gonna be successful, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you're onto something. And you need that belief from people, or especially people that you love.
Yeah.
Very important.
Are you doing live meetups?
Not really. Life, I like to. We just don't travel enough for like long enough in a space to organize it. Usually I go somewhere, I gotta film, and then I leave. But that would be the dream. That's the mission.
Yeah. For some reason, as you're kind of talking about all this and thinking about like seeing the impact and all that, I I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, like, just from the very little bit that I know you, I think that if you had those in-person meetups, it would probably really fill your cup to meet a lot of people. Plus, you could also crowdsource just so many interesting. You wouldn't have to do any legwork anymore. You just you're going to meet up. You think is interesting to be interviewed about this specific question, and I also think
Yeah.
grow your community like crazy as well.
Yeah, it probably would. I have a lot of good ideas when it comes to that. I've always envisioned having a dinner party inside to my business.
Yeah.
So dinner party with strangers. Let's find 8 people, put them at a dinner table. Everyone's a stranger. Let's have a good night. Let's have a great time.
Yeah.
I hosted a dinner party 2 years ago for 30 strangers. Yeah, that was nuts. That was one of the best experiences of my life. It got 600 views, that video. Terrible video. Like, it didn't do well. But one of the craziest experiences of my life. I would love to do that. I would love to host retreats. Like I said, a retreat center, right? Just been able to meet people and have them there. But I think it's definitely one thing at a time with business. And I've always been like that. Again, I'm 25, I don't care to achieve everything right away. I think there's a time for everything. And if I'm 30, 35 and I'm doing retreats, I think I'll be more mature. I'll be a little older, have a little bit more of a structure in my life, and I'll be primed to host retreats. Yeah, it could be good now, but I'll probably be better then. And I'm not really in a rush to do that. Like, hopefully the world is going to be there waiting. And as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, it's only going to be better.
Definitely. Yeah, in a previous life, I used to host weekly dinner parties with like, I don't know, man. I don't know what I was doing, to be honest. I would just be like, all right, I want to have a dinner party with friends. So I'm going to invite like everyone. I'm going to invite, man, we used to host them every Sunday, and we had live music. We had a salsa dance instructor. We had people bringing spike ball. We'd get like 50 people every week, from entrepreneurs to janitors to like YouTubers. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm like what's your Myers-Briggs score, by the way? Like, are you
ENFJ, protagonist.
interesting? My fiance is also protagonist. What's your E score? How high is it? Do you know?
I'm not sure, but it used to be an I. I changed personalities 3 times within. I did the Myers-Briggs like 3 times when I was going through an intense period of self-growth, and I changed 3 different times. I don't remember what it was. The last time I did it, it would probably be pretty high on the E at this point. I do like time by myself the most.
Yep.
I love being alone, but I think I've become much more extroverted over time.
Yeah, interesting. I've always wondered. I was a psychology major, so I've always wondered how much that changes for people, especially as they grow. And I thought I had become more introverted because I spend less time around people more recently, and I'm a 99 out of 100 still, always. Just, yeah, it has never advanced.
Oh my God. So I'm probably pretty high up on E as well then.
Yeah, yeah. I like. How do you find time? So you said you like to have time alone. You have 3 million people who I'm sure there's a lot of them are reaching out to you, wanting, DMing you. People want to do stuff with you. People wanting to collab, friends to work with. How do you find that alone time?
You just make it. I wish I had a better answer for that. But I mean, I try to ask my friends this all the time just to keep in check. Hey, am I still the same person that I was before? Am I still the same guy? Like, am I an asshole now? Am I the same dude? They're like, no, you're the same guy. You think nothing's really changed? Man, I would say I'm the same dude, same guy. I'm probably more confident, more friendly. I'm a better version of myself for sure. but definitely not a worse version. So I make time. That's really the answer. I don't check my phone, and I'm actually not really on social media, even though I have followers. Like I muted everybody on my profile. I don't look at what other people do. I don't scroll. I never doom scroll. I don't care. I'm not interested in it. I just come here to make the content, to make my videos, and I don't want to spend my time meaninglessly scrolling.
Yeah.
So I make the time. Like I also work out twice a day, and I would say I'm a really busy person, but it's a priority for me to have time alone and to work out. And if your health's not good, then you're never going to be good at what you do. Your job won't be good.
Yeah. That makes
But yeah, I don't think it's that crazy either. And everyone says like you got 3 million followers. You must have people like vying for your attention, begging. I mean, when you blow up, it happens, right? You're not used to it. You get a lot of people messaging you. You get a lot of things you're not used to. But I'm in a more mature phase of having a bigger audience now. So as I understand how to deal with it, I understand how to manage it, how to navigate it. So for me, this is my status quo life, and my status quo life is I can still be alone. I can still work out. I can
That's
still do
awesome.
what I want.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I just have, I know we're tight on time now, so I just have one last thing to discuss with you, and that's, so you've created multiple journals that are kind of mirroring the concepts that we've discussed with like prompts and doing self-reflection, kind of figuring out what your path is, what you like to do, what your path should be. Tell me, tell me what the inspiration was for creating the journal. I mean, you could do anything. You could write a book, you could just focus on videos, you could focus on the community, but you decided to make a journal. So tell me why.
So I made the journal originally in 2021. It's the journal you see behind me here, goal setting journal. And the reason why I made that journal, I'll give you the reason why I made it, and I'll say why I made a journal out of all things. The reason why I made the journal is because I've been journaling for a long time, and all the journals that I've done, that I've completed, that I've attempted, were all incomplete in a certain way. I wasn't getting the actual growth. I wasn't making the progress that I wanted. It was more open-ended, like I have talked about earlier. Too broad. I wanted a journal that I could come to every single day, and it would help me track my progress and improve. And I wasn't finding that. So because I didn't find that, I wanted to create it. I wanted to make something that would give me that result. Now, why a journal out of everything? Well, like I said, I've been journaling for a while, but a lot of people refer to like they make a t-shirt, they make a cap, something like that. I think the world has enough caps. The world has enough t-shirts. I mean, granted, 3 years later, I want to make a t-shirt, but that's limited amount of t-shirts because I have a cool design and a cool concept. But why not give something to somebody and teach somebody how to use a tool that will literally make their life better? Like all I want you to do is improve your life. That's all I want. And if I give you a t-shirt, you can embody a message. You could wear a t-shirt that says it's a mindset. You can embody that. But if I give you a journal, you can actually use that for 6 months and you can achieve a ton of success with it. So I'd rather make products that people can benefit from. I refer to our store as tools for a more fulfilling life. That's our brand. We give you tools for a more fulfilling life. And I don't want to make anything that's not going to actually give you impact. And I created it in 2021. I only sold it in 2023. I only started selling it last year because I built the structure and then decided I'm not selling something that doesn't work. So I used it for 2 years and I asked my friends to use it and I refined it. And now we have this system and thousands of people have used it so far. And I haven't heard too many negative things, to be honest.
That's good.
Maybe I drowned them out. Honestly, maybe I'd block the people. That's a big negative.
Oh, maybe, I mean, who knows?
You never.
Yeah. If people are telling you positive, and if no one's saying anything, then, maybe that's the case. But if people are telling you it's good, then I'm sure it's good. You mentioned, so this is like, so I have two questions and then we'll wrap it up. The first one is, you're making tools for a more fulfilling life. What is a more fulfilling life in your terms?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody. Just to preface, my definition is my definition, but I'll keep it open-ended and say, I think a more fulfilling life is when you have alignment between your career, your relationships, your health, your friendships, your travel experiences, and your self-discovery. Those are the 6 pillars that we focus on in the journals. If you have alignment, satisfaction over each of those, you're living a fulfilling life. That's how I would categorize it. There's no actual picture. There's no ideal reality. Well, there is, but it's different for everybody. For me, if you're aligned in those components of your life and you feel satisfied, you're good.
Last question. So if somebody wants to get the journal or join Sprout U, or maybe someday attend one of your retreats or go to your retreat center, how do they find out more?
Sprouht.com, Sprouht is an H, Sprouht.com. Yeah, we have, like I said, we've got these 2 journals up here: goal setting journal, daily improvement journal. Everything is on the website, Sprouht.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks for dropping by this episode, Will. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Trevor.
I hope you enjoyed that podcast as much as I did. If you want to support the show, head to trevorcarlson.com, where you can find out a little bit more about my book. And if you want to support it, I think we're taking pre-orders at this point, so you can find out more there. It's a dream I've had to become a fiction author since I was a kid. So this is me taking my shots. We've already sold a good number of copies through our Kickstarter campaign. It wasn't a record breaker like Brandon Sanderson's, but I was pretty happy that I was able to sell at least a few books there. If you want to know more about any of the articles coming out, videos, podcasts, head to trevorcarlson.com, subscribe to the email newsletter, and look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye.